without great papaya fans, there is no McLaren, because without fans, you don't have sponsors. Without sponsors, you don't have wind tunnels. You don't have great racing drivers. So we knew what we needed to do to be fast on the racetrack. It actually all started back with a fan. When we started this, what we call the papaya era, this new quest to get back to the front, we had record low partnership, sponsorship. We were 9th in the championship because we blamed everybody other than took responsibility and accountability. The biggest success that we've had and the biggest thing we needed to change was how we did business with our partners, with our fans, with each other. And so it was driving culture was what I noticed needed to change.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zak Brown, the CEO and co-founder of Airwallex. Hi, Zach. Welcome to the Airwallex Podcast today. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
You spent most of your career at the intersection of performance, leadership, and also running a very complicated global organization. From a professional driver behind the wheels to now leading the most successful motorsports team in the world, winning 2 Constructors Championship 2 years in a row. Looking back, what lessons from being a driver or being a race driver behind the wheels and still shaping how you lead McLaren today?
I think there's a lot of similarities between being a racing driver and a CEO. So if you break that down, first thing is people. You have to have a great team around you. In racing, people think of the driver being kind of by themselves on the track. And the reality is there's 1,400 people at McLaren. So it's a big team. So surrounding yourself with great people. We're in the most technically advanced sport in the world, so you got to have great technology in business. You have to have a lot of trust with your teammates. In a racing car, you can hurt yourself if you don't trust everyone who's working on the racing car. You need to understand risk versus reward, right? We all make decisions in business, and being a CEO is about being brave, taking the tough decisions, knowing when you make a decision, is the reward worth the risk when you're making some tough decisions? And you need to be a great communicator, not only communicating, but listening. So when you're racing cars, you need to tell your engineer what you feel, but you also need to keep your mouth shut and learn to have the engineer tell you what the car is doing and how you can improve and have that two-way relationship. So if you think about all those things you need to be a great racing driver, that's what you need to do to be a great CEO.
But does that mean being a race driver yourself will make you able to take more risk, increasing the sort of the risk? Because you guys competing at a very sort of small difference.
Maybe not risk. I think what it does allow you to do is work a little bit more on instinct.
Yeah,
because when you're
intuition.
Yeah, when you're racing cars, you don't have a lot of time. It's all instinct, right?
Yeah.
It's corner by corner. So I think risk appetite is probably not something I would say, it's relevant, but I don't take more risk, because taking more risks might be the wrong thing to do. You don't want to, as my chairman says, there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. And taking too much risk can be irresponsible. But I think trusting your instinct is something that we both do in business, and in racing, it's all very instinct based.
You took McLaren to, the most successful racing team in, the most sophisticated sports in the world. And when you came to McLaren many years ago, what are the first thing that your instincts tell you need to change before you able to make McLaren to be a world championship?
Culture, and therefore change some people or change the habits of people. We were not a very warm team towards our partners, our sponsor partners, towards our fans, internally there were a lot of politics. It was a fear culture. So I felt we had a fantastic building. We needed to update our technology. We needed to change our driver lineup. But the biggest success that we've had and the biggest thing we needed to change was how we did business with our partners, with our fans, with each other. And so it was driving culture was what I noticed needed to change.
So, when you, a lot of the listeners here are business builders and entrepreneurs around the world, and they wanted to scale teams and fix bottleneck or move faster. So you talk about the first thing you think you need to fix before you guys winning a culture. How do you, whether it's sort of people, processes, or strategy, sort of what are the sort of some of the philosophies you have of?
I think what culture demonstrates is when you have problems in those areas, which is just day-to-day business, if you don't have a good culture, you'll never fix them. So, if you have operational challenges, which is normal in business, if you don't have a team working well together, those operational challenges don't get fixed because they don't work well as a team, they don't communicate well, they don't trust each other, they blame each other, and therefore the problem doesn't go away. So I think we had all of those problems when we started. Operationally, we didn't move fast enough. We didn't focus on the right problems. When we had problems, they didn't seem to go away, and that's because we weren't working well as a team. So, when we started this, what we call the papaya era, this new quest to get back to the front, we had record low partnerships, sponsorship. Why? Because we weren't good to deal with. We were 9th in the championship because we blamed everybody other than took responsibility and accountability. It was kind of that person's fault, whether it was a engine provider or another department inside McLaren. And reality was we needed to work together to fix these issues.
But is that when you kind of looking at, beyond the culture piece, that when you need to say, hey, I want to win a championship, or why? Like, do you reverse engineer from that to
I think I like the term reverse engineering because that's what we do to problem solve often, right? And what I knew we needed to do was upgrade our technology. We needed a new wind tunnel. We needed more modern CFD. So at the end of the day, we were behind technically, and to kind of use your term reverse engineer, we couldn't afford a new wind tunnel. So the way you afford a new wind tunnel is you have great fans, you have great sponsors who want to engage with your great fans, and then that ultimately leads to being able to invest in a new wind tunnel. So we knew where we needed to get to. It actually all starts with the fan from our point of view. Without great papaya fans, there is no McLaren, because without fans, you don't have sponsors. Without sponsors, you don't have wind tunnels. You don't have great racing drivers. So we knew what we needed to do to be fast on the racetrack. It actually all started back with the fan.
So it's basically a combination brand, the kind of McLaren ecosystem partners, and obviously we're great to be a partner for the last 3 years. And and you guys went to Constructor Championship.
Pretty good. We've spoiled you.
And I'm very excited to see what you guys can do this year as well. And obviously F1 is just not just professional racing, but it's also a big ecosystem. And you talk about when you try to looking at build a successful organization, and you're looking at the fans and the ecosystem partners and that kind of then the sort of tech stack engineering side of stuff as well. I mean, specifically drill into the partner ecosystem you build, working with some of the amazing brand in the world. How do you thinking about who to work with, and how do you pick the partners that kind of, are there any sort of, does it have to be aligned from a value standpoint, or how do you pick up those partners?
So it starts with values for sure. It's do we think we can help our partner, and do we think the potential partner can help us? Put aside the economics. That's the kind of easy and obvious part. We have two types of partners. Those that help us engage further with our fans and build our fan base and a deeper engagement with our fan base. And those are on the kind of the consumer side. And then those that can help us run our business better. Whether it's Dell around our CFDs, which then leads to our wind tunnel, whether it's Cisco around communications. So who can help us run our business more efficiently? Then we have some partners that can do both help us on operational efficiency and fan engagement, and then partners that fit in our ecosystem where they can all work well together. So because, the phrase I've used is the 24 races are 24 Super Bowls from a size, scale, fan, but they're also 24 Davos. The business that goes on behind the scenes at a Formula One race is unlike anything most people have seen. So we want partners that can help us build our fan base, engage our fan base, help us be a better racing team on and off the track, make us faster, and then ultimately partners that all can work together to build their businesses. And in order to do that, we all have to have the same values. So that's what we look for. And fortunately, that's what we've got.
As a CEO and business leader, that you travel around the world, and McLaren is a very sort of time-sensitive organizational machine that you need to perform at the best in every single race. How do you managing that kind of your travel schedule? How do you managing that pressure and stress? And
it's hard. We're 24 races around the world. I live on the road probably 260 nights a year, so I'm in a hotel more often than I'm not. Same with the racing team. We invest a lot and care a lot about our people and their families. We're fortunate that a lot of us get to go race in Monte Carlo, but then we can't forget that the families, the sons, the daughters, the husbands, the wives, the partners are, back at home. And so we invest a lot in our people, in their mental and physical well-being, whether it's great food in the canteen. We've looked to change travel. We used to do the least expensive travel, which might mean a connection and you get in at 10 o'clock at night. But if you want someone to perform at, 8 o'clock in the morning, you don't want them to get into their hotel at midnight on a 7-hour journey that you could have got there in 4 hours. So we look to change travel policies. So we go direct. We want to get in by a certain time. If we can't get in at a certain time, we go the day before. We get on an earlier flight. So it's all about making sure people are well rested, well fed, they're in a good headspace, that their family, as much as we can, we do great family days here. We take care of their total environment to put people in a position to where they can perform at their best.
Sounds just like a lot of detailed operational optimization to perform
correct
at the best.
Because are you really saving money?
Yeah.
By getting someone in at midnight that you need to do a pit stop the next morning because they had a 3-hour longer journey and didn't get as much rest because you saved a few bucks. So obviously those are the decisions we need to make, but you can be, penny wise, pound foolish and think you're actually saving money. And obviously we're very efficient with where we spend. We're very disciplined, but sometimes it's not as quite as easy as the cheapest route is the best route.
Yeah, clearly the half a second on a pit stop is more important.
We last year, or 2 years ago when we won the Constructors Championship, it came down to 0.7 of a second. And that came from we needed to have a great pit stop, or Carlos Sainz, our former driver in the Ferrari, might have beat Lando and we would have lost the world championship. So, how penny wise, pound foolish would we have been if we didn't put our pit crew to be in a position to do a pit stop? And if we were a second slower, we would have lost the championship.
Well, a lot of the entrepreneurs now, working very long hours, especially so a lot of the Silicon Valley people now talking about 996 or even like 77. Have you heard about these stories? And
you've heard about all the things that in the Bay Area where it's free food, free dry cleaning, free everything to try and kind of get people to just work long hours. I think if you create, I think fun is an important part of the work environment.
Yeah.
So whether it's perks of free dry cleaning and free food, or just being a place where, I like working long hours. No one's asked me to. I love my job. So I think if we can create an environment that is fun and people love their job, and we could call this the Boulevard here, where you walked in this morning and you see I love doing calls, pacing up and down, looking at Niki Lauda's car. And,
basically, you don't force them to work. Essentially,
you try
to creating a fun environment to motivate them to give the best. And one of the things in technology is we wanted to hire people that wanted to win, right? Have built a winning culture, and then that you guys in the most competitive space, how do you make sure that you create this winning culture, that you're able to recruit the people?
Yeah, I think we're fortunate that we've got a great brand. So pick a sport. If you kind of grew up, you wanted to work for a McLaren or a Ferrari or a Mercedes. Where if you're baseball, it's the San Francisco Giants and the New York Yankees. The iconic teams. So we naturally. That's a great pull, our brand. We want to have a fun environment, but we want to win. Fortunately, we have all those combinations. People want to work for our racing drivers. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. You couldn't have a better driver lineup. 2 faster drivers and 2 better guys. So we also make sure that it's an environment people like to work because, I feel. You've got contracts with drivers and sponsors and employees. My view is people don't steal from you, you lose people.
But is it important that beyond just a driver that want to win, do you want to hire very competitive people, beyond the driving team as well?
100%. People, there's a disappointment when we don't win. A real thirst to take that disappointment into a positivity of we really like to win.
It's very much of the whole sports team is like, the entire company is as one team.
100%. I think we've done a good job, and this is driven culture, of everyone needs to be awesome at their job for us to be world champions, not, just great car designers and great racing drivers. Again, we spoke about it starts with the fan, which means you have to have a great marketing and communications department. You then need to have a great commercial department to be able to turn that into bringing in great partners. You have to have a great HR department. You have to have a great finance department because we live in a cost cap world. Where do you invest? And so once everyone fully understood that their contribution is equally as important to the performance of the race car, whether you're touching the race car or you're not even on the racing team, you have to be awesome at what you do because it all leads to performance on the race car. And then when you win on Sunday, everybody feels like they've won.
That makes a lot of sense. And how distributed are the teams on the racing day? Like, there's 1,400 people. How many people kind of actually involved in the racing weekend?
We'll have at the race weekend about 125 people. Some of
are they all in one spot, or
we obviously, as you've experienced, have a large hospitality program. So I think you have 65, 75 people physically on the racing team, and then operational on the racing team, but not kind of in the garage. And then we have quite a large contingent to look after our partners and our fans. And then back at the factory, we'll have 50, 60 people in mission control, which is the link to the racing team that helps the strategy and all the data. So I would say over a race weekend, we have probably a couple hundred people fully engaged, ongoing racing. 2/3 of those at the racetrack, a third back here at the factory.
How do they communicate? It's like
all through data, live communications. That's where Cisco WebEx is a big partner of ours. AI plays a huge role in all aspects of the racing team, and it's all live connectivity.
Yeah, and then obviously, what you're describing is a very sort of high performance sort of environment, and there's a lot of tension between speed and control and consistency. And how do you think about the trade-off when you're kind of operating a global scale?
You try not to. I would say you don't really trade off. You need to be awesome at all of them. So the goal is to not compromise anywhere. So if you're working on something where you feel compromised, you got to fix that, because anything that's suboptimal is just not good enough. And that's why we break the team down into the reliability team, performance team, weather, competitive analysis, data analysis, because you need to have subject matter expertise on the various aspects of when you go racing.
You talk about like you guys using a lot of data just now, and a constant feedback cycle, I'd assume, from this data. What lessons, from F1 do you think these global businesses could apply to that business to scale globally? What are the things that you think you can recommend?
I think it's trusting the data, but knowing what data you're looking at, because you can get, we pull down 1.5 terabytes of data a weekend, and it's understanding what data is relevant when you're making certain decisions. I think it's about knowing who's the subject matter expertise. Not everything can roll up to the team principal. So there needs to be coming to trust and communication, who's the expert on weather or on strategy. So I think it's about empowering people and knowing who has the most intelligence and knowledge on a particular topic. So I try and make very few decisions. Well, I try and let others make decisions because they're more knowledgeable on a particular subject than me. I can't be an expert at all things, and I'm certainly not. So I think it's empowering your team and then creating the ability for people to make mistakes. You learn from mistakes, right? You in the technology business, you try, it doesn't work, and you make mistakes until it does work and you go, that works. So racing is no different. So embrace mistakes, learn from them. And I say around the factory, mistakes are okay, just don't make the same one twice.
What you're describing sounds like, a very good CEO's principle, hiring the best team that better than you on the subject matter expertise and able to get them to work together, empower them to make decisions, which is the culture piece that you were talking about. It's very similar running
correct,
like a technology startup. And, everybody's talking about AI, and there's a, paradigm shift in the last couple of years with the language model. And there's last sort of 6 months and the AI agent get, significantly better. And then people talk about getting into, super intelligence in the next few years. How do you guys apply AI into, a professional motor racing?
We have a desire to be the most AI sophisticated racing team in the world. We're using it all throughout the business, whether it's on operational tasks or development of the race car or on strategy. I believe AI will accelerate performance and make us smarter quicker. We use it in strategy. We use it on all kind of aspects of the business. And, we've done some social tests around here, and some things that took us an hour or a week is done in minutes. And so the amount of productivity that it's creating is unbelievable. You can get to more faster, and, whether that helps us speed up the development of the race car because we can develop it quicker, we learn quicker, whether we can make more intelligent decisions on pit wall because we're getting more information quicker, more historical information teed up, whether it's things on penalties because a lot of that, you get into a lot of track limits and things of that nature, and so you need historical data, whether it's on tire management, which is a big part of strategy in races, financial, commercial, fan engagement. So it's all throughout our business. We're embracing it, and it's very top of mind. And you need to take the organization through, awareness to engagement to maximization. And I still think we have a long way to go, which is exciting.
Yeah, or as a AI finance partner, and hopefully we can contribute a small part in the AI adoption and success as well.
100%. And for us, you mentioned a small part. Small parts are big parts for us because we live in a world of the smallest incremental gains. Or, our race car changes 80% over the year. It doesn't go from 80% start of the race to the end. It goes a little bit each race. So you talk about marginal gains. We live in a world of marginal gains equal big gains for us. And so any gain is an important gain for us.
That's great to hear, and we come to the end of the podcast. And if there's one lesson, from building McLaren to the most successful F1 racing team in the world that the business leaders or the founders can take away, what is that one lesson?
I mean, for me, it's culture and people, because it cuts across every aspect of our business. And what I'm unsure is it harder to get to the top or to stay at the top, because both are pretty damn hard. But staying at the top, just don't take anything for granted. Don't let any arrogance creep into the organization. Don't let any complacency. And after, winning 14 races last year and 2 championships, you kind of get used to it. And here we are, we've had a couple second places this year. We've won a sprint race, but we're third in the championship, and it shows you how hard it is. So I think not letting complacency or arrogance creep into an organization, stay focused on the people, on the culture. And, we're all in tough businesses, and, keep the throttle wide open.
Every race, every year is a new journey, and that's Lord, stay hungry and never settle.
Exactly right.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks for
it's
having
great
me.
to have you today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All good? Say we were going to have a coffee? Have you done the tour?
Yeah.
Let's go.